Okay, everyone, today I'm going to show you how to create and develop a selfie picture with whatever backgrounds you want to have. So what I would suggest is go to Photoshop and click Create New, and you're going to make it 11 by 8.5 and make it inches, which is basically a piece of paper. Okay. When you click Create New, it's going to think for a minute and give you this empty canvas. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get us a background picture. Okay. So the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to click File, Open. Okay. And hopefully the steps you've taken before you started all this is you have a background picture on your device that you want to work with. And you also have some sort of selfie picture or Bitmoji that you want to work with. Okay. So for me, I'm going to go to, I have a folder called Backgrounds. Okay. That I've taken photos already. And so what I want to do is I want to add my selfie on top of that image. So let's pick an outside photo. Okay. So now I have my outside photo that I'm going to use. Okay. Now you can use really whatever background you want. Okay. Now that I have my background layer, okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add a layer. Okay. So I can do that up here under layer, or I can do the add layer here. So there we go. So now I have a layer. Okay. The reason why we want a layer is if you apply a filter or change the opacity or whatever it is, you want to apply it just to that picture and not the background too. Okay, unless you want to group them and apply it. But I'm going to assume in this case that based on the project that we're doing, that you might want to add it to one layer without the other. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so we have our background and we have layer one. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I want to add my photo to layer one. Okay, I don't want background selected when I do this. I want layer one selected. Okay, I'm going to choose File. I'm going to choose Place Embedded, not Open this time, okay? Because we're not opening backgrounds, we're not opening previous projects. So we want to place embedded, okay? And what I'm looking for in this one is a picture with high contrast, meaning the foreground, you, okay, are in a totally different color than the backgrounds. So those are the most ideal pictures, okay, that you can find. So something like this is great, okay? Place. So notice that my dog and I are in high contrast of the background. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this somewhere. Okay, I'm going to place it on this edge just because it looks good there, because this side is kind of cut off where I'm holding the camera, right? And I want to put myself and my dog in the foreground of the background. Okay, when I'm done placing it and arranging it and then changing the size of it, I'm going to click the check mark. Okay. Now, if you wanted to play with this button and then transform it and things like that, you can do that. But for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to click the check. Okay. Now, obviously, I'm not done yet because this doesn't look right. So what I have to do is I'm going to turn off my background layer by clicking this little eye. Okay. It's still there, but it's just not selected right now. And I'm going to make sure that me and my dog are selected. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the object selection tool, and I'm going to start on this edge, okay, and I'm going to click and drag down, include my dog and I, and it's going to try to figure out what I'm trying to select. So it's going to take a little minute to think. Now, it does a great job to select that, and the reason why that works so well is because the foreground and the background are in high contrast to each other, so big time opposites. You could choose some of the other tools like the magic wand, or the other one that works pretty well is the magnetic lasso tool. Those will take some practice to get used to, but they do work quite well. Okay. Once it's selected, what I want to choose is I want to go to Select and drop that down, and I want to choose Inverse. Okay. And what that does is rather than selecting me and my dog, it's going to select everything the opposite of that, so the outside. Okay. Now, once I've done that, what I have to do is I have to go to Layer, and I have to make the layer a smart object. Okay. Otherwise, it won't let me edit it. And then the other thing I have to do is rasterize it. So do those two things, all right? Otherwise, you might get some sort of error saying that you can't modify the image. Once I do that, I'm actually going to hit delete on my keyboard. And what that does is that gets rid of the background, okay, of everything that was on the opposite of the selection, because remember, I did select and then inverse. So I got one last tiny little spot right here, and I'm going to use the magic wand tool because it's pretty good at picking up what it thinks that I want. And I'm going to click the white inside there, and I'm going to hit delete on my keyboard, which gets rid of that, okay? So once I'm done with that, I'm going to basically turn off my tools because I don't want to mess anything up. I'm going to turn back on my background. And ta-da, voila, select, deselect. It shows me in front of the school building, okay? Now, if I want to trim this down, I can crop the whole image, okay? I'm going to select that and choose my cropping tools. I'm going to bring this in, okay? I'm going to bring this in just a little bit. I'm going to do my check mark. And voila, I have a really good image to work with. If I want to, I can bring that down even more. Let's just do that for the fun of it. And the reason I'm doing that is because, remember, they're going to, when you're using this as your image, it's going to want to look for that small portion. So that's why I'm trimming it down so that it doesn't look weird later on when I go to use it. Okay, so I'm going to hit the green check. Okay, and then I'm going to file, save this as, okay, instead of a Photoshop project, I like to use the PNG. It's pretty high quality. It doesn't usually get pixelated if you email it or change the size of it. I'm going to name it Me and My Dog by Main East. Okay, I'm going to put it on my desktop for now so that I don't lose it, and I'm going to click Save.